Garden Report is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Celtics beat the Bucks 119-108 in probably Payton Pritchard's biggest reserve game of his career. We've seen him in spot starts and extra opportunity go off. In this game, playing within his role, playing within the rotation. A monstrous night for Pritchard, scoring, a little bit of rebounding, a little bit on the offensive glass, as well as passing, and two key stretches in the first and second half that helped change this game, including another heave. Not really a heave, more of a traditional step-back three for him there at the end of the clock, but something that's becoming patented, something that's becoming an experience in the crowd here. Noa Dalzell alongside, who's one of the bigger Payton Pritchard advocates, and saw massive returns on that investment here tonight.
Yeah, you know, it's aging well so far. This was one of the best games he's had, not just because his shot was on, but I thought that he just provided a burst of energy as he checked in, and he seems to have that effect with his team. I remember last year when the Bucks were in town, he was getting involved with like the offensive rebounds. He was fighting for loose balls with like
just
Patrick Beverly.
Yeah,
like this matchup seems to bring out the best in him. But going 8 for 12 from 3 is not an everyday shooting performance. It's not going to be every time that he checks in, but I do think that he's capable of big shooting nights. Like, he's an exceptional shooter, and he hasn't always had the opportunity to show that in the NBA, because when you're coming in and taking 2-3 shots, like we've talked about for so many guys, you know, it's so hard to actually find a rhythm. And I think that he's playing super confident now, and he's playing, you know, you mentioned that play, 6 seconds to go was when the ball was inbounded, and he has to go full court now and create separation. He got a wide open 3, and he seems to get that all the time, whether it's a heave, whether it's, you know, a straightaway 3, the exact shot that he wants. Like, he just knows how to get it done at this point, and so the building feels it. When he checks into the game, there's an air of excitement here. I felt like the crowd in this game wasn't the best, but he kind of got them, you know, got them alive, got them going. And so, yeah, this just continues to be a player that, you know, I think at the beginning was viewed as like, is he really a backup point guard? Is he a reliable bench player? And I think he's elevated out of those conversations to like, what is he really capable of? Because I think the ceiling is quite high.
Yeah, and finding a consistency. When we talked to him at the beginning of camp, asked about improvements, he said that spot up 3, and that's clearly there from to start this year. He's hit 13 of his last 19 from 3, which is just ridiculous consistency, and that's where he wavered in the past. That's obviously going to be a big part of his own self-production on the offensive end, is getting off his 3, and that's where Hauser, who has been out now for a little bit, he ended up being the most stable, consistent player off the bench, because he could always generate 3s for himself, you know, on kickouts and wherever other ways he found them. For Pritchard, if he is more of a 40% guy this year, I think he can be that stable, consistent piece off the bench, because they've been searching for points and just general consistency off the bench so far with Hauser out. You're not getting much scoring from Tillman. You're not getting much scoring from Cornet, and certainly not from Walsh, who we'll talk about later. But Pritchard, it can be, if it's going to be, you know, 30-plus minutes here, 15, 20 points a game if he's getting the shot totals there. So even though he's still playing within a role in the second unit, you're asking for a little bit more from him, just because there isn't much scoring off the bench when Hauser's not in there.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's actually really benefited from Hauser being out, and Jalen said it after the game, but he said we need him to be like this even when Hauser's available. Like, for him to take 12 threes, that's a really good sign of the offense, and I think that there's a lot of metrics you can look to, like individual performance metrics that indicate whether or not the offense is, you know, moving the ball well, whether or not the right guys are getting looks, and I do think Pritchard getting off a bunch of 3s off the bench is normally a very good sign for a healthy offense, and so tonight was certainly an example of that. I think he's going to have a lot more of these performances than we've seen in the past in his career, and so I don't think it's always going to be 28 points in 27 minutes, but I think that he's going to have these double-figure performances. I mean, this is 2 in a row. He had 19 versus Detroit, so I think, you know, everybody's streaky. Everybody's going to have their off nights. The question is, can you limit those? And you know, time will tell, but it certainly seems to be a good start here for him this season.
It was pretty amazing to watch, and again, a real atmosphere in here when he enters the games, when he puts those shots up at the end. He obviously hit the 3/4 court one against Detroit, got off a little too late, but doing some crazy things at the buzzer in these games. And in this game, a whole complete performance for Pritchard. That was a big reason the Celtics won. And they are 4-0, heading on the road to Indiana on Wednesday. We'll have coverage of that remote here before we head to Charlotte. CLNS Media, Celtics All Access. Check out Prize Picks. Use the code CLNS. You get a $50 bonus when you play a $5 lineup. And check out the Game Time app. Use that code CLNS there as well for $20 off your first ticket order. Terms apply. For Noa Dalzell, I'm Bobby Manning. Banner night for Payton Pritchard here into the 5th year of his career. We'll have more from TD Garden here on the Garden Report. Hey, Bobby Manning here. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed this video, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out our social media platforms at Celtics CLNS.